All right. Today, working with sellers. This was developed by David Bovin and Richard Williams, myself. And step one, prospecting for sellers. Create your sphere of influence, or your SOI. And SOI that's the lifeblood of your business. It's where 80% of your focus should go. Your SOI are your friends, family, business, and business acquaintances. The first step is to create that list. So start a spreadsheet and add every name you can think of. Don't be shy. Don't worry about relationship, referrals, or grade yet. You see below here, you've got name, phone, address, email, relationship, referrals given, and a grade. If you don't have the addresses, this is a great excuse for your first call, but try and fill it in as completely as you can. After you have a list, 100 people minimum, you'll add the relationship and the grade. Relationship examples, friend, family, client, etc. Referrals given, if they are ever given you a referral, mark it. The grades are 1+, referrals given is an A+. Did a transaction with you, but no referral, that would be an A. Would give a referral if asked, that would be a B. Unsure either way, C. Or delete, that would be a D. Step 3 then, make the calls. Your first call will be to people that do not have the addresses. Hi, how have you been? I'm reaching out because I'm starting a new program with my new career in real estate. It's called the Client Appreciation Program to spread the word about my business. Let me ask, do you have a real estate agent that you refer your friends and family to? 90% of people say no, but if they say yes, you let them know you're always available, but you don't want to step on any toes. Typically, if they say yes, they have a close friend or a family member that's actually in the business. When they say no, say, okay, great, I'd love to be that person. All that I ask is that if you hear someone talking real estate and they could use guidance, that I'm the person you refer. If I could have your email and mailing address, I'd love to send you out a little something. Step 4 is contact the rest of the people you actually have addresses for. Same kind of spiel. Hello, how are you? Great, I just want to reach out because in my new career in real estate, I'm beginning a client appreciation program to spread the word. Do you have a real estate agent you refer your friends and family to? Once again, 90% say no. If they say yes, let them know you're always available, but you don't want to step on anyone's toes. Typically, if they say yes, they have a close friend or a family member in the business. When they say no, you say, okay, great. I'd love to be that person. All that I ask is if you hear someone talking real estate and they could use guidance, then I am that person you refer. I have your info, so I'm going to start sending you an email and a piece of mail each month. If you ever have questions, let me know. And by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals. This is very important to ask. If you don't ask, you will not receive. Step 5. Now that you've made your actual calls and you need to do your emails, thank you notes, and your first item of value. Emails. We prefer to use a drip campaign, but you can always send these out individually. Okay, the first email is very simple. Below, this is an example of the first email to be accompanied by the Why I Work referral item of value. If you're not a member of Buffini and you can find a piece of Kale, you can find this under Kale Training under items of value. Items of value include, for example, something concerning their real estate in their particular area. For example, if you're in Rogers Park and there's an article that's stating that the Rogers Park appreciation has gone up 15% in the last 2 months. This would be something of value, an item of value to be sent to those people that are in that area. Who would you recommend to your family and friends? I would like to take a moment of your time and introduce a complimentary service I provide for all my clients. My Client Appreciation Program is part of the commitment I have made to run my business exclusively by referral. Every month I will be sending information that I believe you will find useful. The first piece explains how my decision to work by referral benefits you. It allows me to devote my time and energy to meeting the needs of my clients. There are a number of ways that I can be a valuable resource to you, such as providing market updates and referring other reputable professionals when you need them. I will make a constant effort to provide you with excellent service because in my business, the most profound assets I possess are your respect and trust. Feel free to call if you need anything at all. I am always here to help. Sincerely, your name, obviously. Item of value and a thank you. After you email that item of value that we spoke about, you write each client a personal thank you note and provide a printed copy of that item of value. So whatever you sent them in that email, you can absolutely, then provide it as a printed copy and along with a thank you note. If you do not want to spend the time printing and buying cards, Referral Maker Pro, offered by Buffini & Company for a small monthly fee, includes 100 thank you notes, 100 items of value, the Buffini CRM, as well as an online access to training and marketing materials. Highly recommend it. Okay? Because it just takes the time and effort out of getting it yourself. It's all there for you, and they encourage you to do it on a timely basis. Consistency. The key to real estate business is consistency. Every month, call each prospect, send an item of value, and a thank you note. After 6 or 7 months, you'll be the only person these people think of. I have seen people reap the benefits of working the system in the first month. Referrals are addicting, so go get some. Do not stop your process after 3 months and say, oh, this isn't working. It is all about the consistency, and it may take up to 6 or 7 months of this, but the system will work. Keep in mind also that you are rating people for a reason. People that give you referrals are a top priority, so be sure to call them every month. Whereas people who don't give you referrals, you call them less frequently. All right, working with sellers, prospecting and or canvassing. Canvassing is when you look for properties for sale or for rent by owner and contact them directly. You can do this simply by walking or driving areas you're interested in and getting listings or you can find classified ads and contact owners directly. I suggest adding a tab to your spreadsheet or utilizing your CRM to maintain these type of leads. As you find information and add it to your system, then you have a list to call. As you call, keep good notes and don't be shy. Most sales are not made until after the 10th contact, so keep that in mind. Just be sure to ask people when they want you to reach back out if they say they're not interested at the moment, and make sure that you do it. Prospecting or farming. Farming is sending out mailers to try to gain business. The key to farming is consistency. You cannot just send one letter. It needs to be a campaign. I suggest at least 6 months. It should not be the same letter over and over. Try and change it up. For example, if you want to work a condo building in the city, say there's 300 units in there, that would be called farming. You would send mailers out, or however you do it, door on their doors, and you would do it consistently. At least a 6-month process there. And like we said here, do not send the same thing over and over. Something a little bit different, but certainly putting your name, and Kale Realty on there is important. Prospecting and or buying leads. You can purchase leads through many websites like Zillow, Trulia, or Realtor.com. You put yourself in a much better position if you work by referral or work on contacting people directly, through canvassing. But buying leads is an option, and it is something that some of our brokers here at Kale utilize and swear by. But just remember, your percentages go down, a lot when you're simply doing when you're buying leads, okay? Because they're not 100% leads. They're just a lead, as the word says. Working with sellers, listing appointments. Not a big fan of fancy listing appointments. I feel it takes away from the true nature of the meeting, which is actually selling yourself. Sellers, care less and less about what company you work for, what your marketing looks like, etc. It's all based on your personal relationship with them. Okay? So when you go into a listing, I like to think that I'm always the most prepared and knowledgeable person that they're going to meet, if in fact there is more than one listing presentation. In other words, they're interviewing 3 or 4 different agents, for this listing. You being one of them, you should be the most prepared one. That's what I feel is the most important. Okay, if you do want to get a little bit of fluff and a little bit of better look to your listings, go to the MLS classes. They have a beautiful listing presentation right in the MLS that you can utilize as long as you have a nice color printer. You can do some pretty nice things, once again, simply by having the MLS program and knowing how to use it. But the rest of it, and most important thing, is being prepared. Going onto realist.com, pulling up the original, property. If there was a previous listing, pull that listing up. Ask questions prior to getting there about what the house is, so you can maybe pull up the comps, and that would include, listings as well as solds. Okay, most importantly, solds within the last 12 months, preferably in the last 6. Okay, when you're at this appointment, bring a notepad, comps, and a big smile. Always look people in the eye when you're speaking, and always tell the truth. People can always tell when they ask a question and you do not have the answer and you attempt to make that answer and it is wrong. Simply say, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I do not know the answer to that, but I am going to find that out and I will get back to you a little bit later today or tomorrow with that answer. And that is how you handle something like that if you truly don't know the answer. And that, please call me or Dave or anyone, someone that you know at Kale that might be able to answer your actual question. Let your client know that Kale has been in business since 2007, and we have a great resource team for you to talk to, and make sure you bring them the actual correct information as we spoke of. Comps. It's important to make sure that you find good comparables. Always try to find the most recent comparable, within bedrooms, baths, square footage, and updates. Obviously, you won't always be able to find an exact comp, so you can take parameters down until you find something that fits. I would not go further than a 1 mile radius. Okay. Also, be sure to bring active and sold comparable units so you can show that what the competition is listed at. Okay. This is a whole, another course that we can go into that I have had already, and that's something that you can, contact us or myself in regards to how to pull the proper comparables for the property that you're actually trying to list. Getting a listing going. After you actually have had success and now you've got this listing agreement in place, you input the listing into the MLS. You log in, click on listings, then click on add a new listing. If possible, clone an old listing. Make sure it's important you update any information that may have changed. It does make you look very silly when you have information that is wrong on a listing sheet. That is very, very common with most brokers, and I challenge you to be different. And ask me, or however you want to do this. Make sure you put the right information, the right schools, the right directions, just the correct answers to the questions that are there. So especially if you cloned it and you may have some wrong answers. Make certain that you upload the photos. The first photo must be of the front exterior of the property. Do not use pictures from an old listing. This is actually illegal and you can get sued, so do not do that. Try to use your own property, your own photos, and or someone that you've hired to take specific pictures of this house or condo or whatever you're doing. While logged into Connect MLS, you can view this. There's a how to do video. Make sure to add all of your signed disclosures to the additional documents area, which can be found in additional information. You do not have to put that in right away. You can do that actually when you get an actual interested party. I would then download it into that area of the MLS and then say, hey, it's there. Or you can simply send them via email over to the interested party that's going to purchase your listing. Don't forget to add the back-end fee to the listing commission. So whatever you are paying out on the other end, 2.5, 3.5, whatever your payment is, it's minus, and then whatever. Check our back-end fee at kaletraining.com and find out what bracket your particular listing falls into. And if it's 3.25, that then it's 2.5% minus 3.25 on net sale price, whatever, something like that. It's a checkbox that you put in there. Okay. Working with the sellers. When now an actual offer comes in, you'll need to present it to the seller as soon as possible. Always look it over to give them an idea of what the contract states and your opinion of it. Always consider the price, cash or loan type of loan, earnest money, closing date, of course, any contingencies. Okay, so it is very important that you analyze this particular contract prior to giving it, or presenting it, to your client. Make sure. One of my little pet peeves, and I'm not, thrilled where it is on the actual contract, but those closing costs. It's somewhere on page 9 or 10, and make sure that you look at that page. It's nowhere near the front 2 pages. It's way deep into the contract, so do not lose track of something like that. They'll often say, we want closing costs, not to exceed a certain amount or whatever the case may be. Make sure you see that, and make sure everything else in the contract makes some sense. Present, And in the case of multiple offers, once again, look over all your offers that you have. So now you have 2, 3, 4 possible offers. It is your seller's option on how they want this to go and how to be presented to the other side. In other words, in my opinion, it's best to go through the following route: that you examine all the offers, then go back to the parties and say, we have looked at all 4 offers, and we would like your highest and best by a specific time and date. If it's the morning at 9 o'clock, you then say, we want all our offers by 5 o'clock today, for example, and we will then evaluate and have an answer for everybody, the following day. Okay? You can do this with 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of the offers. It is absolutely your seller's option on who and how you want to handle this. But there is, in my opinion, a better way, and that's to command the highest and best from usually the top 2 or 3 offers. But make sure you examine cash versus mortgage, and the amount of the down payment and some of the various others, the closing date and all the other aspects of a possible options on an offer. Okay. Once you have accepted that offer, it goes into the attorney review period. Okay. Typically during that 5-day period, you have the inspector go in and they look at your listing. If there is a problem with radon, they will also have the radon guy come in, and he will do a little test on it. And if it's a problem, they will fix it. If it's not, you pass that test and you move on. Okay. I think it's very important for you to be present as the listing agent. Well, no, I take that back. Typically, the buyer should be there for the inspection. You should be present to let them in, but from there, the buying agent should typically be there. Then from there, I believe it is extremely important that you have communication between both the brokers to see if something is actually going to be, an issue or not. Okay. Once that inspection is actually complete, just so you know, it's typically about a 70, 80 page document. It's got, and there should be a 1 page that kind of lists all the issues that are the actual, kind of a summary, if you will. And then with that, they will list, this oftentimes is another attempt at renegotiating the contract. And when the buyers come in and they note all these different issues, they ask for a credit, they ask you to fix them, or whatever, or various ways they can address it. You'll discuss this with your seller, and then the seller's attorney will eventually respond. Okay, you decide what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. In this review period, also allows both attorneys to go over the contract and ensure that nothing is in error. If there is, it'll be also corrected at this point. Okay. During the review period, it's important for you to keep in constant communication with all the parties to always ensure that all is going well, that all the, whatever the inspection issues, that everybody's still all on the same page. Okay. So, this is the part that I call, maintaining and keeping up your listing, because, the deal is not over yet. There's a lot still to this transaction, and you need to make sure that everything is going smoothly, from your end and the other end. Typically, realtors do not have much responsibility at the closing. You're there to support your client and make sure that nothing is needed. Once the closing commences, you'll be given a closing statement and a check. Okay. Your function at a closing, I suggest that you do go and especially as a listing agent, you probably have a lot of the information that may or may not be needed at the closing. They should have everything together, but sometimes they don't. And hopefully one of the brokers is there just to make sure of that and ensure that any type of thing that is needed, you have it and you give it to them and you facilitate the close. Okay? Post-closing. After I personally like to provide some sort of closing gift. Some examples: bottles of wine, restaurant gift certificates, sports game tickets, paintings, or anything the client may enjoy from your personal relationship with them. It's very important that you have listened to your client and have an idea of what they like and what they don't like, and that will help you in your closing gift. Sometimes the simplest closing gifts are the ones that they don't have to cost a lot of money. It's just something that you listened to, and that's something you went out and bought for them, or a gift card or whatever. Always check in a few months after closing and make sure that they're part of your cap, and so that you routinely keep in touch, asking for referrals and seeing if you can be of assistance. Oftentimes what I do is I don't always have my closing gift at closing. I actually have it post-closing, and that is a good excuse for me to now check in perfectly well, like 2 weeks after closing, and say, hey, how's everything going? You're into your new place or whatever the case may be, and is there anything I can do? But it's another excuse to keep in touch and ask for a referral. Maybe they have somebody else that's selling a house like that or whatever. So that's a perfect time to do that. Talk about the paperwork. All the paperwork is available through Loop. You'll actually log into Loop. You create the loop with the address of the property typically, and then enter the buyer's name and the loop title. You add your client's info under people, so you can add their signatures and initials to the documents. So, this is another, issue that, within the office you can certainly find out a little bit more about Loop, but all this information needs to be downloaded and put into Loop. There are templates for each kind of transaction that you do under the templates portion of Loop. You can only use documents that are from the board from which you are a member of. So be sure to choose those docs. They're all marked accordingly, within our Loop. Agency. Whether meeting buyers, sellers, tenants, or landlords, you need to have an agency agreement signed. These are also all available in Loop. If you're not using Loop templates for paperwork, or you're printing out forms to have your client sign by hand, you need to upload these docs immediately into the Loop immediately after they've been signed. Okay, that's extremely important. Being a professional is the name of the game. Always maintain your professionalism. You will always get further with honey rather than vinegar. Although you may come across other agents who give you an attitude who are not exactly professional, having arguments or being petty will not be helpful for you and your client. You always have to separate, the client, the relationship, from, okay, this deal is almost over. We won't have to deal with this person again. So let's just, bite our lip and move on and get this thing closed. Okay? If there are ever any issues, please contact your managing broker, myself, or Dave for anything that you may need help with, in regards to something like professionalism, if you will, or something like that. Bottom line, next steps after this is, you create your sphere of influence. It's like a recap. Develop a regular communication strategy for each of your contacts. Draft an outboard marketing strategy. I'll try to meet 2 new people each day, tell them what I do, and collect their email and phone. And last, learn the art of running comps. Schedule a one-on-one with a Kale Realty trainer, myself, or Dave, to develop this type of skill set.